Hi and welcome back to my booktube channel. My name is Sam and today we are going to be doing Sci-fi September, which is kind of a celebration of sci-fi books, and it's held by two very special people on Instagram and YouTube. We have Emily from mychaoticshelf and Elizebeth from museumgrackreads, and they came together to create this beautiful bingo board, which I have here. I try and put it on the screen, but I don't really know how, so I'm just going to hold it. But they created this beautiful bingo board, which you can't see, but all these lovely prompts. And yeah, today's video, we're going to delve into this and do a bit of sci-fi reading and see if we can get a bingo. So basically there are plenty of different prompts on here, such as older publication date, climate catastrophe, queer main character, alternate format view, sci-fi retelling, all these wonderful prompts. Now I have been looking at this and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do from this corner downwards through the middle, because I want to utilize that free space because I'm not the biggest sci-fi reader, and also we're halfway through September and I've only just started this, so we're gonna utilize that free space and go diagonally across. So the prompts we're gonna hopefully get to are time travel, hyped, African futurism, and next in a series. Now I have kind of planned around what I'll do for each of these prompts, but I won't tell you straight away. You'll have to wait till we get to them. So I think we're going to start with African futurism because I found a wonderful novel that I really want to read. It's by a very author that I've heard a lot about, and that is I should have swiped on the video, but that is Remote Control by Nnedi Okorafor. Now I have heard such great things about this author. I think she was in Elizabeth's YouTube video as well. I'll link Elizabeth and Emily down below. Definitely check them out. But yeah, we have Remote Control, and this is set in a near future Ghana. I have the plot. I'll read the plot that I googled because I'm terrible at synopsis of books, but this is what Google says. So the summary of Remote Control is: there's an alien artifact that turns a young girl into Death's adopted daughter. In Remote Control, a thrilling sci-fi tale of community and female empowerment from Nebula and Hugo Award winner Nnedi Okorafor. She's the adopted daughter of the Angel of Death. Beware of her. Doesn't that just sound so interesting? The daughter of death. Like, what is that going to entail? Is she going to kill people? Is she going to stop people from being taken by death? Like, what is going to happen? And it's set in this near future Ghana, where it's written in a way in which it feels like it could just be a few years ahead of us, and not necessarily the far future, but could happen. So yeah, that's the first book we're going to be reading for this bingo board, and that is for African futurism, which is right here. And then after that we'll get into the other books. Wait, actually, before we jump into the first book, let's just say next in a series, I'm just going to say now because it's going to be a longer read. That is The Exiled Fleet, which I am actually buddy reading with the hosts of this. So I thought, why not? So I'm buddy reading this with Emily and Elizabeth, and it is the sequel to, what was it called? The Last Watch, which is basically a novel about set in this universe where the universe is collapsing and no one knows why. And our main characters are on the edge of the universe and are on the front line of this existential threat of the universe collapsing, and they have to figure out what is going on. Do the ancient alien race that they fought a war with have anything to do with this? Is it something to do within their own society? Like, what is going on? Why is the universe collapsing? Is it out of control? Can we stop this? Can we not? What is going to happen? And it's very existential, and I love the first book, and I'm so excited to be buddy reading this with Emily and Elizabeth. But I will just say, yeah, that is going to be the next in the series. So that's the bottom bottom left corner, and then it will go up to African futurism, free space, and then we'll talk about the final two books when we get to them. But yeah, let's dive straight in to Remote Control, which I'm audiobooking, and I'll let you know my thoughts on it in a moment. So yeah, let's get to that. So I am back and I have read Remote Control. Please excuse my appearance. I don't look the best right now. But I finished Remote Control by Nnedi Okorafor, and I loved it so much. It was so cute. I definitely want to read more by Okorafor because this writing was so beautiful. So in this one we kind of follow the story of Sankofa as she, well, I don't want to spoil anything, but basically she's trying to find her place in this world. She's trying to overcome something that happens, and she's just trying to find a place where she can be with her family and be happy again and not have this kind of stigma of everywhere she goes, everyone just sees her as the daughter of death, the adopted daughter of death. And she wants to be somewhere where there isn't this kind of pressure on her to be like this wise person. She just wants to be herself, because she is older than she looks. She is wiser. She is older and wiser than she appears, but of course, because she's stuck as a child, everyone like treats her like that, but also as this kind of like demon, and they're all like, things are expected to go bad around her. And I love that the story was not too like action heavy. It was mainly character focused, with her trying to find her place and somewhere where she could be happy, without the stigma of the society forcing on her their kind of fears and anxieties around death. They were forcing it upon her, and she's trying to find her way out of that and just be somewhere where she can be herself, where she can be with people she loves. And I thought it was such a cute little story, and I definitely feel like there's more to tell from this. There's so much more for her story that could be told or in this world. I really liked the kind of, because it didn't really feel like sci-fi, if I'm going to be honest, but because it rarely touched on the kind of sci-fi kind of stuff. It was more of the supernaturally kind of death ideas around that. The only sci-fi stuff is that when she touches technology and stuff like that, it stops working, and there's kind of a small plot point of that. But that's the only thing that I could really identify as sci-fi, I guess, apart from the kind of near future Ghana setting. But it was such a good novel, and I definitely recommend checking this out if you have the time. So if we add that to the board, we now have our little remote control in there. So we have started, so we have that one, and we have the free space. And now we're going to move on to the top corner, which is time travel. And for time travel, we're going to read Slaughterhouse 5. Now, I didn't realise this was a sci-fi, I had to Google it, but my friend from uni has been pestering me to read this novel for so long. Like, I would post my story about Akatar. I was reading Akatar War at the time, and he was like, if you don't read Slaughterhouse 5, I'm going to kill you. Because he's been wanting me to read it, and I just haven't listened to him. So I'm going to be reading Slaughterhouse 5, and I'm also going to be audiobooking this one because I don't own it physically. But yeah, let's just talk about the plot of this one. So I have another little Google. So it says, Billy Pilgrim's Von Gutt's main character is constantly travelling back and forth his life experiences, paying random visits to all events in between. So that sounds very interesting. It has that time travel we need for the plot, and it's sci-fi. So yeah, I'll get back to you when I've read Slaughterhouse 5. Hopefully it'll be good. I know it's like a classic, so hopefully I'll like it. So on to that. So I'm back now, and I have actually finished this video. I meant to do updates as I finished the next 3 books, but I just started uni again, 3rd year, and I just got a bit overwhelmed and I didn't have a chance. So it's now the 30th of September, and I'm going to film this, so technically it is filmed in September, and then post it as soon as possible. But yeah, I've read the last 3 books, so let's get straight onto the one I said in the previous clip, which is Slaughterhouse 5 by Kurt Vonnegut. I think that's his name. Vonnegut. Vonnegut. Okay, and yeah, I didn't read the graphic novel, I read the actual book, but I did it by audiobook, so I don't have a physical copy of this. And I read this because someone at my uni was like, Sam, read this instead or I'll kill you. Well, he didn't say that, he just put a knife emoji next to the message, which I got the hint. So I read Slaughterhouse 5, and I had mixed feelings. It was a good read. There was some certain parts I enjoyed over others, but overall I just felt like maybe it just wasn't my kind of thing. It delved too much into the stuff that I wasn't interested in. So this one, I've already said, follows a guy who kind of follows a non-linear lifestyle. He falls back throughout his memories, and he kind of lives through these different eras. In World War II, he was a soldier. I like those parts. There was the most recent, I assume, where he was kidnapped by these aliens that are just higher beings that know more about humanity and life, and they experience life in this non-linear way as well. And they kind of kidnap him and take him to an alien zoo, where he's like then paired with a celebrity in the zoo to like breed and stuff. And that was my favorite part of the book, because it was just something so new, and I haven't seen it done before, other than like an episode in Fairly Odd Parents, which I guess was inspired by this. So I would have liked to have seen a bit more about that, and I'd want to see more about that. It was fairly talked about in here, but I feel like it could have been a whole book, and we could have got more from that, and it could have been more of a story rather than a plot device almost. And then the other parts where he was like falling through time, there's one where I didn't really care. He was in like a hospital, his mum showed up, I was like, I don't care. I don't care. I don't know what's going on. Leave me alone. And then there was a bit where he was falling back into the World War II kind of era, where he was a soldier, and I found that really interesting. He ended up in this camp with a bunch of British soldiers and American soldiers, and that I liked that bit. So I enjoyed that and the alien part, but it was the other kind of hospitalization part and that where it's like, you started to lose me here. I get the premise of the book, but you started to lose me. But overall, I did enjoy this. I think I haven't rated any of the other books, but I think I'd give this like a 3 stars, maybe a 3.5. Just wasn't my cup of tea. There was some elements I would have liked to see more of. So yeah, that are my thoughts on Slaughterhouse 5. Now, if we add that to the little bingo board, that fills up, what was that slot? Time travel. That fills up the corner of the time travel. So now we have remote control, we have time travel. The next one we're going to talk about is the Illuminate files, which I'm going to be using for this one, which is Hyped book. Now, if you have heard of the sci-fi genre, you will, if you're in this kind of space of the sci-fi genre, you would have definitely heard of the Illuminate files by Amy Kaufman and an author who I do not want to name because I don't like him. So Amy Kaufman and another person wrote Illuminate Files, which is kind of this interesting story of where this illegal mining operation of these two big companies and things, and they like drill oil and stuff, and there's one illegal base which the other company comes and takes over because it's like, what are you gonna do, call the police? You're an illegal operation. And then they manage to get off the planet and they have to escape on these shuttles, and it's kind of like this long chase throughout space of like this ship called the Lincoln from the opposing business who is chasing the survivors of this illegal operation from the other business. So it's kind of very business centric, and it's a chase. There's I don't want to spoil anything, but there's like basically there's a AI element in this. Maybe it goes a bit kooky. It kind of has a god complex. They are like a psychopath. I love Aiden. But yeah, we have that. We have kind of this infection that's maybe making people a bit angrier than usual. 28 days later much. So yeah, there's kind of like this virus, there's this god complex AI, there's a space chase, there's a lot going on in this book, and it's written in a very mixed media format where it's like told throughout people describing CCTV footage, people texting, people emailing, the AI's process, like seeing inside the AI. So you get all this kind of cool different formats throughout the book, and it's kind of a dossier of evidence from this Illuminate group who is kind of presenting these files to a court on this illegal operation. Obviously, we don't get the whole story until later in the series. You can probably see them. They're on my currently reading stack over here. I'm going to do a trilogy talk on them. But yeah, Illuminate Files is so hyped. Like, it's everywhere. And I really enjoyed this. I have read it previously, but I wanted to come back because it's been a while and I really wanted to try out the audiobooks because I've heard so many good things about the audiobooks. So I went about reading the audiobooks this time rather than physical. And I'm not going to get too much into my thoughts on the difference. You'll have to wait for the trilogy talk. But I will say I think I preferred the physical reading just because of all this kind of uniqueness. It was captured as much as they could in the audio, but I feel like there's a lot you miss out on visually if you're not reading the thing. But I think they did a really good job making it accessible to people that can't necessarily read the physical copy. They did a really good job, and they had cool sound effects, they had a full voice cast, they had all these different actors, and they had sound, music, and it was really good. It was a really good audiobook, one of the better ones I've listened to. But yeah, there's just a lot you miss out on in visual, which is a shame, but I understand kind of the struggle to do that because there is a lot of weird things in here. Like, let me show you, like, no, it's not a spoiler. It's just planets, and you get all like the words, and it's just so pretty to look at, and you can see this image made with words, and you can't really do that in audio, so that was a shame. But the audiobook is really good, so I would recommend that. So Amy Kaufman and Blank's Illuminate, I would recommend definitely. I will talk more about this in the trilogy talk, so look out for that. Now let's turn the iPad back on. Let's turn the iPad back on. So then if we're going to add that to the audiobook, I put that in the, what was it? The Hyped. I went a short-term memory loss, but I put that in the Hyped column. So now we have one space left to fill, which is the next in a series. Now, for this, I read The Exiled Fleet, which I finished yesterday. And I was buddy reading this with the hosts of this bingo board, Emily and Elizabeth, on museumgrackreads and my chaotic reading shelf. I'll leave them down. I think I've already mentioned them in this video, but I buddy read this with them. It's the sequel to another sci-fi book that I read in September and haven't mentioned, which is The Last Watch. Now, I'll give you a brief summary of this one, since I can't say much about this one without spoilers. So The Last Watch is basically the first in the Divide series, where we kind of see these exiled soldiers. So any soldiers that have like committed a crime, disobeyed orders, they're all sent to the edge of the universe to kind of guard it against aliens. There was a war with aliens that's long been gone, but it's the facade. They're sent to the edge of the universe just to get rid of them, really, but they're on the watch for any more of these aliens. And then we start to see some weird mishaps. We see Kavlon, who has a secret past. We have Rake, who did something to be there, but she won't tell, but she's kind of in command. And we see the universe. It's starting to collapse. So it's this very existential story of the universe collapsing, what it means to be alive, what it means to be human, what it means to not be able to trust your government. And there's a lot of like really cool themes. And this one is very character driven. I will say it's very slow paced in terms of the plot. Like upon finishing it, you'll realize that not much really happened. Like they did a huge thing, but to get there, nothing really happens that often, but it's very much character driven, and there's a lot of scenes building up the characters' relationships to each other, how different things the characters do affect the other characters, and it is very interesting. It is a bit overwhelming to begin with because there's a lot of characters, but that soon gets sorted out and you realise the main core cast, and they're just such lovable characters. I rated this 5 stars. I rated the sequel 5 stars as well, and yeah, this is just such a good series, and I can't wait for the third one to come out. Hopefully we'll be buddy reading that together. Like, just to show you, I was sticky tabbing and annotating these. That's how many times. A colour for each of the main characters. So Kavlon is blue and Adequin Rake is orange. And the size difference of the font, like J.S. Jews really was like, I'm in this now. So in the first book you have like tiny, you have but rather big writing, and then in the second one it's like double the weight but half the size, and the writing is tiny. So there's that. It gets progressively longer, I assume. It's gonna get even bigger, but so much happened in the sequel as well. Like this one felt very existential. This one feels even more existential. There were some twists and turns and revelations, and 5 stars for both of these. I really enjoyed these, and I highly recommend checking them out if you do want a character-based sci-fi. I'm saying that there still is a lot that happens specifically in this book. This one really picks up. This one, not much happens. This one, they're all over the place. Everything happens in this one. So yeah, get used to your characters, then get used to the plot, I guess. But yeah, this is described as a gripping space opera debut for this one, but it's on this one. So yeah, I agree with that. It's very, very, very good. I highly recommend these if you want a sci-fi read. And buddy reading it with Emily and Elizabeth was top tier, because we just had a nice little chat. We like caught up on it. We gave our thoughts and our theories, and we were just freaking out on multiple points on this. We were like, what the hell is happening? But yeah, I highly recommend that. If we add that to the bingo board, we have our first bingo. We have the bingo down. So that is the end of the video. I'm sure you're glad for that. But yeah, I highly recommend all the books that I've mentioned in this video. 100%. We have a bingo, and I'm so happy about that. So just to recap, we've talked about Remote Control by Ninide Okafor. We've talked about The Illumino Files by Amy Kaufman, and someone else. I'm not going to say his name. I don't like him. Then we have The Slaughterhouse 5 by Kurt Van Kut, and then we have the Divide series by J.S. Dew. So I recommend all these books. Now, I just wanted to fill in the board a little bit more if we were doubling these for the prompts, and it doesn't really help much. I didn't get any more bingos doing this, but this is the board with, oh god, the glare. This is the board with them double up. So I didn't get any extra bingos, but it does look a bit more full. So I'm happy. Reflecting on my sci-fi September, I think I did good, considering I don't often read that many sci-fis. I think I did good, and I'm proud of myself, and I think I did, yeah. And I read some good books. Like, it wasn't like I read an awful sci-fi. I'll stop rambling. That is the sci-fi board. I hope you enjoyed this video and you enjoyed seeing my progression. But yeah, thank you so much, Emily and Elizabeth, for creating this board. It was brilliant and can't wait for next September to do this again if you are hosting again. I'll leave them down below in the comments, so definitely check them out. Elizabeth has a YouTube and Instagram, and Emily so far is only on Instagram, but we will get her on YouTube. We're going for you, Emily. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and these books I talked about. Let me know your thoughts on them down below, and I'll see you in the next video, which will hopefully be another book signing vlog, because I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I won't spoil it, but I'm so excited for the next video. I'll see you then. Bye. These are the books. Well, I've only got 3 to hold up. The X-Fleet, Illuminate, The Last Watch. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Bye.